Hello there, Celine here, and welcome to my channel. I'm back with Tanya Jokic, astrologer, for episode 2 of our chats about the moon, which I love. So hello, Tanya. How are you today?
Hi, Celine. Hi, Celine. I'm fine. I'm fine.
Good.
Thanks for having me.
Good. So today
Bit
I
hot.
thought, hot, yeah. Not so hot in Ireland, but yes, I hear in London you're enjoying the sun.
Yeah,
So today I just thought Tanya has just, for any of you watching, has just done a new video on the new moon in Cancer. So I encourage you to go and take a look on her channel. The link will be in the description box below. And I'm particularly interested in this particular new moon. I'm interested in all of them, but I'm very interested in this particular one because firstly, from listening to you, Tanya, I know that the moon is all about our emotions. Cancer, which it's in, is all about nurturing and represents the breast in the body. I think I'm learning a little. And that all just, and the moon rules Cancer. So it really resonates with me. As you know, I'm someone who's been through breast cancer, and it's relevant for everyone. And if you have or are going through breast cancer or know someone, you'll know that this whole subject of nurturing is so important, and emotional expression, something I've struggled a lot with in my life. So I think this topic today is of such interest, not just if you've been through cancer, but it does have a particular resonance. So on that note, I'd love if you could just talk to us a little bit more and delve into maybe how people can support themselves maybe in this particular new moon that is Cancer, and what else you might like to share around that topic that might help people.
Yeah, it's a lot to talk about moon in Cancer. And you're right. Yeah, the moon rules the sign of Cancer, just like every other planet has at least rulership over one sign. So the people with a strong energy in Cancer, if they have any other planets, especially Sun, Moon, or the closer ones, can feel bit more emotional and a bit more sensitive to the energies in general. Okay, it's a water sign, and water is affected easily by what I'm seeing at the moment. It's like if in a pool of water you put a clean water, you put a drop of a black ink, it will just it will accept it. That's the thing with water. It will accept, it will become, I'm not going to say dirty, but I don't have any other word. It's like, it's not going to be clean. So it accepts whatever you give to that water, and it changes, and it's affected by everything from outside. So people with strong energies of Cancer, especially now when we enter in Cancer on solstice on Tuesday, 21st of June, I think it's UK time, I think it's just around 10:15 in the morning.
Okay.
We're going to have 30 days of sun being in Cancer. And then the new moon on the 29th will just kind of escalate the energy. So we can feel a bit more emotional. We can feel like everything from outside is literally affecting us. So somebody's word, for example, that we don't like, we might be affected a bit more. We might be affected by the weather a bit more, like I am at the moment, and we might be reacting a bit more. It's all about really emotional reaction. So we have to, just the fact that we know that the sun is in Cancer, in water element, and that we might be more sensitive, it will help us. Literally just having that information in our mind, say, oh, sun in Cancer, everyone's a bit more emotional. And that will, in effect, same thing I tell my clients, my friends, I say, bear that in mind when you talk to others, because it will just, affect you at the same time. Even though sun is the ego and the masculine energy, but when it comes to the moon, the whole emotional body, we might actually, I know people who sleep through the new moon in Cancer often because they couldn't deal with it. And then, we laugh about it. They usually say, I just want to be under the duvet. That kind of thing. people might be overwhelmed by dealing with their emotional bodies. And if they don't do anything for the rest of the year, and it might be too much coming out at this time, right? With the sun and moon in emotional Cancer.
Okay.
It's a sign that really wants to feed you. That's a person who really wants to make everything lovely for you and homely and make you welcome in the space,
yes,
right? Whatever the space is. It could be it could be a part, like a towel on the beach, but they will give you a part of that towel to sit down by the water and enjoy the company. They will do everything to feed you. But the question is, do they feed themselves? That's
okay.
Answer out of balance. Yeah, it's how much do we feed ourselves and how much do we feed others?
Yeah. And that's such an important, isn't it, for all of us to really, that's something, as I said, I struggled with. So it's that's what I love about the different moons at different times of the year. It just helps us sort of maybe focus in. And can I just maybe touch on the calendar as well? Because just to mention to anyone watching, if you're not aware of this, Tanya has produced a fabulous moon and body calendar, which really shows you the optimum times for looking after self-care and looking after your body and your hair. And I just love it. I'm using it all the time. And it's been a big shift for me, for someone who struggles so much with nurturing myself. It's really lovely. So I recommend, again, in the description box, you'll see a link to it, and I'm delighted to be involved with it. And if you click on that particular link, you'll get 20% off the calendar, and you'll get a full year of all of these dates. But specifically for now, as you say, the new moon and just that phase and detoxing and cleansing, aren't there dates as well that people might like to focus on now, in terms of their own self-care and nurturing, maybe, the body massage, isn't it? Scrubs.
I mean, this is a good time for detox, just coming up to the new moon, which is on, as I said, 29th.
Yeah.
So we do have a good period. I mean, every waning phase of the moon is really good for detoxing. And it's not just the body detox, even though that's in the calendar. What I didn't put in the calendar, which is a bit more complex, it's about detoxing your mind, At the same time, as you're paying attention to what you put inside your body and how much more water you will need to drink, it's good, especially in this sensitive, water period, Cancer period. It's how much we look after ourselves emotionally and mentally as well. Like, what is it that we think about ourselves? What are the words we use to describe ourselves, and what are the words we use to really to give to others, and in return to give to ourselves? Is like, how much do we use negative words, how much do we use positive? So definitely, as we go with the detox of the body in the waning phase, it really helps to kind of then slow down the mind and say, oh, I should really stop saying those things. So that thing. And it does help, because then it affects the body. And you stop for a second. I know when I go for a walk and I have mental body goals. Even though I'm taking the physical body out, the mental body goes. And then I have to, consciously say, okay, no, I'm here for a walk and I'm going to enjoy the nature and whatever I'm seeing, the streets, the cars, doesn't matter. So detoxing on every level is good to do. That's great advice, because I found that myself. It's interesting. It's just come up for me recently, being very conscious of the words I'm using and what I'm saying to myself. Like, what, we often talk about, the mental diet and what we watch on social media. And I just started thinking about, like, what am I saying to myself, even if I'm not consuming negative content? But it's probably coming from myself. So I think that's great advice for everybody, just to be aware of that. And particularly now, the fact that the moon rules Cancer, does that give this an extra sort of powerful, is it even bigger than normal, in a sense? If it was a new moon in Sagittarius or a new moon in, does that make a big difference? It does. As I said, I'm kind of feeling that many of us, regardless where our natal moon is, might feel like, staying under the covers. Okay. Not wanting to deal, because that's the energy of the moon. If we, it's very complex, and but it is like that. I'm getting the picture again because I do work with,
Yes.
visions a lot. I'm getting the picture again of the little, like a glass of water that we want to drink, and if something drops in, like an ink, a drop of black ink, we don't feel like dealing with it. We don't feel like drinking it. We don't feel like, it's quite hard then we know we have to cleanse it before we enjoy it and drink it. And sometimes we don't feel we have the energy. Yeah. But the new moon is there to kind of really make you slow down, every new moon.
Okay.
This one is specifically strong in terms of looking after yourself versus others, nourishing yourself. So you're going on your own for a walk, even though, for example, if you've never done it and you always want, 2 dogs or neighbors, but going on your own will test you a little bit. It will give you that element of, oh, I'm doing something for myself on my own, but just for myself. I'm going to enjoy this half an hour, whatever, for myself. And that can be scary for people, or just doing anything on their own, because you have to deal with your own inner processes, and
Yes.
it is a journey. And then everything, so many things come up. But that is the new moon of in any sign will help if we just slow down a little bit, switch off from the rest of the world.
Okay.
The effect of the new moon is at least 3 days.
Okay.
At least, although usually astrologers will say 2 days before, 2 days after, so it's 5 days. But this one, because it's ruled by the moon, might be felt a little bit.
Okay, so just for everyone to know that.
It's ruled by the moon, yeah. So it might be felt a little bit stronger, yeah.
Okay, and another just a very interesting, just aside from, I suppose, the new moon in Cancer, but something else I think that ties in and really resonates with me as well, the whole fact that the moon is the feminine and the sun is the masculine. You've talked about that, and I saw you to post last night. That really interests me because I feel that was part of my journey with breast cancer as well. I wasn't aware of this. So for anyone watching, may or may not know that we all have masculine and feminine energies within us, and the masculine is usually represented isn't on the right hand side, which is where I manifested breast cancer, and the feminine is on the left. So my journey has really been about and it still is about bringing these energies back into balance. Can you talk a little bit about that? Because I think it's very important for anyone who maybe isn't aware. I found the stress that because we function currently in a very patriarchal, masculine systems, it's I think nearly led me to operate more out of my masculine. And I think a lot of women that I know and have met can relate to this, so that it's even more important. And it's important obviously for men too, but just maybe to show, the difference in those two, I suppose, polarities really in our lives and how we manage that.
Yes, you're right. Let me just do something. Well, it's quite hot here.
Oh,
I'm
yes,
trying to keep myself
cool.
Crazy. I live in London. We don't get heat waves.
Wow.
You're right. The right side being the mass of the body, being the masculine side, and I feel so often, issues with the left side or the right side, and whatever I'm going through, I can feel that I need to work then more on the left or the right, or the feminine or the masculine. And we do live in mainly masculine, patriarchal society in general. Not every culture is the same. But also what's been happening for a long time now, that the feminine energy is raising its frequency on the planet, which means in turn that we as, also living beings on this living planet feel this energy being kind of getting stronger, louder in our bodies, right?
Yes.
And we don't know how to deal with it. We don't, we don't learn that in school. We don't learn anywhere. We have to grow up and then read books and experience and do the workshops and do the healing and all sorts of things. But that's why lots of women are going through huge imbalances of, oh, what's this, like, with dealing with the rise of the feminine energy. I mean, it's the same for the men as well.
Yes. Yeah.
It's just that, I mean, my own experience, I have more women working, coming to me for healing than men, because it's louder in a woman's body.
Okay. Yeah.
We can hear it better because we are women, we are feminists. So we can hear that feminine energy kind of screaming out and saying, do something, take me out for a walk, deal with emotional body. I'm trying. What?
No, that's very useful, because that's exactly,
that's the main thing.
Yeah, because it just ties in. I think it's just when we're talking about the moon, I just feel it just brings up, I think, for people to be aware, like the sun, the masculine is so important, that aspect in our lives, and the feminine. And I think it's just really bringing awareness for all of us to know that these different aspects are called on at different times, and they're both so important, but it's the balance, isn't it? It just, I have a sense that for me, illness and any big, I suppose, stress maybe in our lives has often led to maybe not a lack of awareness of the importance of the balance of those. And the moon just maybe is a reminder for people now, and the new moon as well, just to be more conscious of that aspect, particularly in Cancer. I suppose it comes back to that again, of the nurturing and the feminine. So yeah, that's just feels a very important message. I just feel very personally, I have had a lot of issues around that, so I think it's really good to be reminded.
I would add that every new moon,
yes,
people will feel, those who get more and more kind of aware of what's happening with their emotions, with their mental processes, they will with time recognize more challenges happening around the new moon.
Okay.
Because the new moon is the hidden moon in the sky. So it does affect the psyche. And when we are out of balance, which is most of the times, we get thrown, left, right, center with everything that's happening. And this is why I tell everyone, it's a new moon approaching, plan to be quieter, to take time out for yourself, because no one else will give you that time apart from you. Only I can give myself time. I can't go out and ask others, oh, give me time. When it's, it can be 1 hour in a day, it can be, whole weekend, it really depends. But it's when we decide to have time off and to time for ourselves, the time will just show up, and then we will know what to do. Because the new moon, especially now in Cancer, with this rulership of the moon, can really affect people emotionally, can stir up all the old fears, inherited stuff through generations, incarnations. There is so much, we have so many layers within us we can go through, healing. But we do have, when working with the moon, I can feel a lot more fears coming out at the time of the new moon. Because again, it's hidden. That new moon affects the psyche.
Okay.
And people might go into more of the worry and fear-based behaviors more than usual. As I said, probably mentioned earlier, some people tend to have more arguments at the time of the new moon. Again, another reason to slow down.
Yes.
And take time off, don't argue.
No, I'm going to take that advice, because that's really good. And I think the emotional detox we don't often value. Like what I have noticed recently in my life, the more this has been happening to me, when I do go with it, like you said, and give myself the time, which often I haven't found easy. I'd go for a walk and have headphones stuck in, but I don't anymore. And I sort of, that it's a major journey sometimes going for a walk with yourself, as you said.
Yes.
But you can do a lot can happen, but it's amazing the benefits too. So just like you said, this focus on detox emotionally, physically, mentally, because what takes its place, isn't it, when you detox and let go and release, something beautiful can come in to replace it. doesn't it?
Yes.
And that's what I have found is the prize. And I would encourage people just to remember that. Yeah, so that's wonderful, Tanya. Is there anything else you want to say before we finish up in terms of, yeah?
It's just something came to me as you were saying that sometimes we don't want to go out for a walk, and then, as I said, basic thing, I know, but it's once you step outside and just go and stretch your legs and walk, you might feel a bit more emotional kind of baggage and feel more bit heavy within you in your emotional body. And I've noticed that those blockages can be released. Say, for example, I know when I feel heavy and I can't realize why, when I go for a walk and I suddenly feel certain questions and something from the past coming up, and also generational, issues of karmic issues. I can feel them, and I can feel tears coming out. And if I let them out, within 2 minutes, that emotional body, it's calm, it's relaxed. My physical body can then take me even longer for a walk. And I can see on other people, I mean, I can see other people walking with lots of baggage or walking lighter, in the park. And you can tell if you really pay attention to how they're walking and how they're behaving.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
That's why it's also good to go out and listen, especially, as I said, coming to the new moon. Just start testing yourself, see how much you can hear, how much you can release, how much you can, drink more water, do more walking and releasing. Yeah, it becomes in tears, which is normal, especially when it comes to the moon and Cancer. It's helpful. I'm not saying to be in a kind of hours of that behavior, because you're going to fall into mini depression.
Yes.
Although there's a cure for that as well. But this is when you feel a bit stuck. There's emotion stuck within you.
Yeah, and something's maybe
go out and and go for a walk and feel if you can bring it out and cry it out. Maybe sleep under a train bridge or something, because that's a way of releasing it as well.
Yeah, no, that's great advice. And anyone living near me, if you see, probably have seen me out sobbing, sometimes down by the sea. But as you said, I just let it, I now can trust if it's coming up and it's like this energy I can feel, just let it out. And it just shifts. And as you said, not getting, spending hours at it, maybe if you need to, but it's just a wonderful release, and it's very safe, isn't it? I find when I'm out somewhere quiet. So for everyone watching, that's just amazing advice. Do look
for it.
Go for it. Exactly, this particular new moon. And just something else I just wanted to mention as well about your calendar before we finish up, because we touched on the topic of breast cancer, and again, it just comes to mind chemotherapy, which I went through myself, losing all my hair. I had lots of lovely hair like you, but I'm going to get it nice and thick again by getting my hair cut now on the right dates. But also, just if you are going through that or have gone through it, it's so challenging and it's so difficult. And if you're at the stage of your hair growing back and you really want to support it being really strong and good, do check out the calendar, because it has the optimal dates for doing that. So, for anyone really watching, this calendar just has it's all about nurturing. It's so relevant in this month, but it's relevant all the time. And as I said, there is a discount code in the description box that you will get 20%, which is great value for a year with all of the optimal dates for haircuts and other body care. Also, just to say that Tanya's channel, I'm going to leave a link to in the description box as well. Both of us, just so you know, on our YouTube channels are doing a lot of giveaways over the summer for all of our, calendars. And I have a book for anyone as well who's interested. It's tying in a lot of nurturing and self-care in that book, because it's my journey of coming through breast cancer and really coming into looking after myself and nurturing myself as well. So that's sort of relevant. So there's a nice tie-in. So thank you everybody for watching. Is there anything finally you want to say, Tanya, before that I may not have asked you and missed out on, or are we good?
I think we're good. We just have to listen, as I said, more, our own emotional body, and see and listen to how we're feeling, and then act upon those feelings. And yes, I'm also giving away a few things throughout the month of June. So anyone watching can subscribe to my channel and then to my mailing list, and then I'll send all the information. I have starting my ebook as well, so I'll send the information in my, to all my subscribers on my mailing list whenever it's ready.
Yeah, perfect. Perfect. So if you want to keep in touch, sorry, Tanya, if you want to keep
the subject is moon.
The subject is moon, and I highly recommend. I know I'm a big supporter because I just find it so useful, and I just find it's very helpful in my own life, and it ties into my own life experience and journey, and I think anyone watching can really benefit. So do check out both our channels and offerings. There's lots happening over the next few months, so take care, and thank you very much, Tanya. Really appreciate your time and your wisdom, and for sharing it with us. It's much appreciated.
You're welcome, and thank you for having me. Thank you everyone for watching. Until next time, have a lovely new moon.
A lovely quiet new moon.
Yes. By the beach or in the nature.
Yeah. Take care, everyone.
Take care.
Lovely day.
Bye.